Moonknight was fun. It was very fun. I think about 70% of the show was pretty sweet. It had enjoyable moments, genuinely intense scenarios, and some fantastic performances. But the other stuff was really not doing it for me. I want to kick this off by saying that this was a pretty enjoyable introduction to a character. This is how to do the superhero show formula right, and I hope future MCU projects can learn from what just happened here. The first episode is, super good. I enjoyed myself to a reasonable extent, and I think they showed the absolute perfect amount of information for an intro. They were able to draw in an audience without practically spoiling the plot in the first episode, and that is how this should be done for the rest of time. I have always been of the opinion that Tom Holland Spider-Man trailers have always been way too revealing. I think that everybody should take note of this. The first hour of this show was gripping, exciting, and intriguing. Episode 1 left lots of room for interpretation and prediction. And when I think the story would zig, it would end up zagging in the next episode. The first 2 episodes were incredibly entertaining, and by episode 3, I hate to say I was much less interested, and by episode 4, completely out of it, aside from the ending. The show comes to a grinding halt to have our characters fuck around in Egypt for 2 weeks of my real life. Luckily, I didn't have to wait for episodes to be delivered to me, aside from the last one and the first couple, because I was busy writing the Elden Ring video during the middle portion of the show. I understand that these episodes are in service of the story, but the execution was way off. The only saving grace is that the show had to offer in episode 3 and 4 were our characters. Arthur Harrow was a genuinely scary threat and played masterfully by Ethan Hawke, who I am a fan of. Go watch Boyhood if you haven't seen it yet. And I can't begin to mention performances without addressing Oscar Isaac as Stephen Grant and Mark Spector. I've always noted that it is very fun to watch an actor play multiple characters, and episode 5 really pushes the limits with having the split personalities share the screen. In episode 3 and 4, I was very bored of the dumb Indiana Jones wannabe crap pretty quickly. I was not intrigued with the story here once we went down a road like this, and like I've said before, I blame the execution. You see, the first couple episodes, you have the fun, action, and mystery aspect. It feels like Stephen Grant, who's learning all of this for the first time, is the audience's vessel for the story. It was cute and fun. Then someone decided to take a big ol' shit on the show, got us away from the fun, and more into the story, which I will say is not that bad. I was interested in the mythology, and the gods meeting was pretty rad. But it's when you've already given me what this show can be capable of, and I've enjoyed this, and you take it away without hopes if I will ever see the level of enjoyment again from the first couple episodes, and that is what contributes to my delight. However, I was happy to report that the story really threw me for a loop when we kill off our main character at the end of the episode. This really sent me to a frenzy, and I was joyfully lost once we take a dive into insanity. This throws expectations out of my head, gives good shock value, and establishes stakes, because from what we've seen leading up to this, Moonknight is basically unstoppable. We spent an entire episode diving into our character's backstory and mental state. This sort of reminded me of how the Deathly Hallows took a movie to explore what our characters feel like before the actual finale. And in this episode is where I was able to get back into the show again. The dynamic between Steven and Mark is an absolute highlight, and watching their adventure of dipping into their origin was very well done. And to be frank, part of me wishes this was established a bit sooner to get Mark and Steven interacting more, because this was just crazy fun. But gradually introducing the insanity was needed for a character like this, even though having it being introduced from the get-go would have left some room for fun superhero ass-kicking I wanted from the show, and only ended up getting in the last episode. And that last episode, very, very, very fun. Steven and Mark come back to life, and we get that fun superhero shit I've been waiting for.
Hey bro, watch your jet. Watch your jet, bro. Watch your jet!
I've picked up throughout the show that the CGI and editing were a little bit off, especially episode 3 was pretty damn atrocious. It's like he moves without the presence of flesh and blood, which in turn lacks the feeling of impact. I can't describe it, but like this is just not how people move. In this episode, things are just much tighter. We get a kaiju battle, a really awesome rad one-shot fight scene that was coordinated quite well. Layla gets her shit together, and we get peak Moonknight. Ask me and I say the show it's at its best when it's just balls to the walls, ridiculous, fun, and action-packed. And when rolled into one, we get something pretty damn entertaining. Overall, I think my expectations for the show were a little high. I let my imagination get the best of me, and hopefully season 2 can give us more Moonknight whooping ass. We leave on a good tease for future appearances, and get the audience wanting more. But if I had to set aside the episodes and grade them individually, episode 1 gets an 8 out of 10, 2 gets a 7 out of 10, 3 gets a 5 out of 10, 4 gets a 2 out of 10, 5 gets an 8 out of 10, 6 gets an 8 out of 10. But overall, I'm giving Marvel's MCU's Disney Plus's Moon Man a good ol' 7.8 out of 10. Thanks for stopping for a thought. See you in the next one, guys. Later. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry it took so long to get out to you after the show originally released. I was kind of waiting to see Doctor Strange 2 so I could do 2 for the price of 1 stop for thoughts, but I got too lazy and I never went to go see it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'd like to add that I will be doing Stranger Things Season 4 when that comes out, but as you probably already know, it's releasing in 2 parts, each a month apart. If you're waiting for me to do part 1 of the show on Season 4, I can do that, but as of now, I think I'm going to just do all of Season 4 when Part 2 releases, maybe some of the other stuff, because I've always wanted to talk about it. It's one of my favorite shows, and I'm very excited for Season 4. Anyways, if you haven't seen my previous video on Elden Ring, you should go check that out, because like I've stated before, I put close to 60 hours into that masterpiece. First and foremost, I'd like to say that this is a hobby. I'm not doing this for my financial gain, but I will say it's kind of demotivating when you realize nobody ever watches them. Anyways, thanks for clicking on this video. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to let the dogs out, and goodbye.